What's up guys, and welcome back. We have a brand new Metroid Prime 4 update video that seems to basically confirm what engine Retro Studios is using for the game, and I got all the real information and proof to back that up. This new info will also be able to clarify some things on a previous Metroid Prime 4 video we did over a year ago on the game engine Retro Studios is using, which we will discuss here. Also, later in the video, we'll touch on the recent report of Switch 2's possible release date getting pushed back by a few months to early 2025, and how this likely won't really affect my content, but you'll see what I mean when we discuss. So if you're excited about Metroid Prime 4 and the content in this video and you want to support the channel, please do hit that like button and subscribe, and we will get started. Now, with Metroid Prime 4, over the years we've been researching information on this game with various levels of success, with most recently uncovering and confirming with real information that Metroid Prime 4 has been in full demo testing for bugs and quality of life for over 10 months now, and that Retro Studios has partnered with another third-party co-developer production studio named Next Gen Dreams 3D to assist them in development of Metroid Prime 4, possibly with working on things like additional assets, and even working on a debut trailer to help market the game, which, like we've been discussing, is likely tied with the reveal of Switch 2, which will still very likely happen in 2024, but we'll discuss more on the Switch 2 later in this video. Either way, with Metroid Prime 4, the development of this game appears to be going great, and we are in the phase of polishing and optimization for the game, and no doubt when it's shown to the public, Metroid Prime 4 is likely going to be ready to ship and will basically be a finished product, which also ties directly into today's update. So back at the end of 2022, we did a video on what the possible engine could be that Retro Studios might be using for Metroid Prime 4, and one of the developers that we discovered back then called Metroid Prime 4's engine an in-house engine. Now, back then, it was safe to assume that an in-house engine meant that this was going to be a custom engine made specifically for Metroid Prime 4. However, we have some indication from the months prior to that that maybe Retro Studios was using something based on Unreal Engine due to the massive amounts of hiring they did back in 2019 through 2022 for developers with a lot of Unreal Engine experience. But a lot of them also had Unity and CryEngine experience as well, so it was really hard to say what type of engine Retro Studios was using for Prime 4. But it did seem that a customized engine was the direction they were going as a developer in late 2022 by saying in-house engine for Metroid Prime 4. So fast forward to February 2024 where we are now, and Retro Studios was recently hiring as of January of this year a remote contract position for a technical designer for Metroid Prime 4. And why is that interesting, you ask? Well, if you look at the job duties they require, it falls more in line with polishing and touch-up work based on optimization, like for game object interactions, integration of assets for camera sequences into cinematics, and developing workflows to enhance tools for the game. Now, by itself, it wouldn't seem like this is a big deal, but what I've discovered is that this position was actually filled last month in January when they posted it, and once you see what this developer specializes in, you'll get a clear picture of what engine Retro Studios is using for Metroid Prime 4. And I've recorded all the site navigation here just in case this gets removed again after I post this, since this happened with my previous Metroid Prime 4 update video. But back in January, Nintendo hired for this technical designer position, this contract position, a developer by the name of Ryan Dunnigan, and the big thing though to notice about why hiring him says almost everything we need to know about the engine is when you look at his experience. So if you scroll down all the previous development experience he has, you'll see that he only has Unreal Engine experience listed. Not just Unreal Engine 5, mind you, but also Unreal Engine 4 and Unreal Engine 3, dating all the way back to 2007. And I've double checked this, and he has no experience on other popular engines like Unity or CryEngine. The only engine for gaming he's ever worked on is Unreal Engine, and specifically for the last 2 years, he's only been working with Unreal Engine 5. So suffice to say, Retro Studios has hired an Unreal Engine 5 and Unreal Engine expert onto the team for Metroid Prime 4, which likely confirms at this late stage of development and optimization that Metroid Prime 4 is running a version of Unreal Engine 5 that is likely being customized to run the best it can on both Switch 1 and Switch 2, since yes, Even Switch 1 does work with a cut-down version of Unreal Engine 5 as seen in games like Fortnite. But with Metroid Prime 4, Unreal Engine 5 I think is a good choice since it brings all the modern features to the table for a next-gen Metroid Prime game for the Switch 2 to be a really nice showcase title while still being compatible with the Switch 1. So if Nintendo has a team in-house working on assisting Retro Studios with the Switch 1 version of Metroid Prime 4, which is something we've noticed over a year ago that Retro Studios was actually hiring developers from Panic Button onto their team to work on Metroid Prime 4. They likely have 2 dedicated teams working on Prime 4. This would also make the most sense from a cross-generational standpoint to get the most benefit on both Switch 1 and Switch 2 to use Unreal Engine 5 in-house instead of trying to make a fully customized engine just to get the Switch 1 version running great and another customized engine just for the Switch 2 version of Metroid Prime 4. Now, I realize that for third parties, Unreal Engine 5 had some bumpy first steps in 2023 last year, but ultimately in the last few months, we've seen some much better results with Unreal Engine 5 and improvements on early releases in various patches of the games, and newer releases like RoboCop and Tekken 8 look and run great with Unreal Engine 5. I do think it's a much better engine than Unreal Engine 4, which was plagued by many long-standing issues over the years like shader stuttering and high memory usage. But Unreal Engine 5, as we've discussed, adds things like Nanite and Lumen for its geometry and lighting enhancements over Unreal Engine 4, and will be the standard going forward for many developers. So I'm really excited to see this put to use in Metroid Prime 4, especially for Switch 2 of course, since all this will enhance the special effects in the game and the lighting, and even things like object destruction as well. So again, just to be clear here, the reason why this likely confirms Unreal Engine 5 is being used for Metroid Prime 4 in some capacity, whether it's the full version or a customized version of UE5 that will work with both Switch 1 and Switch 2, is because Retro Studios just hired developer Ryan Dunnigan for a temporary contract position for technical designer who only has experience with Unreal Engine 5 and only has experience with Unreal Engine as a whole and nothing else. So if this doesn't make you excited to see Metroid Prime 4 in action, guys, I'm not sure what else will. But of course, I can only speak for myself. This has me really excited to see how amazing Metroid Prime 4 is going to look very, very soon when we do see it. Which leads us to our next topic of when. And like we said before, this leads to the Switch 2 and when we'll likely be seeing Nintendo's next-gen console revealed. We have been saying for a while now that I figured, and not even based on rumors or anything, that a March 2024 reveal for a holiday release for Switch 2 made the most logical sense based on all the previous reporting on the Switch 2, but we just had 3 reports come out saying that Switch 2 is possibly being pushed back to a Q1 of 2025 release due to Nintendo needing some more time for first-party software to be ready for launch, but the console will still be releasing during the fiscal year 2024, which ends March 31st, 2025. Now, to be clear, you can't delay something that hasn't been announced, right? So it's being called an internal delay by VGC, Eurogamer, and Bloomberg. But I want to reiterate that nothing has been confirmed or announced by Nintendo just yet, so people really need to keep that in mind when seeing reports like this, and that we won't really know until Nintendo announces something for the Switch 2. However, for the sake of this video, let's just say that we believe the reports and Nintendo releases Switch 2 in Q1 of 2025, which is basically March 2025. The reality of all this basically comes down to a 4-month delay from what was likely a November 2024 holiday release to March 2025 release. And it is not hardware related, but it's software related for the timing of this. Also, the great news is, since a 4-month change in plan really isn't much time at all when you think about it, either way, this would still mean that Nintendo's going to announce the Switch 2 and show the Switch 2 sometime in 2024. And of course, this is the first step that must happen, and the announcement that I am personally most excited about, since we need to see the Switch 2 and its games first before they will allow us to pre-order the console, right? So my guess would be, if these reports are to be believed of course, is that Nintendo would reveal Switch 2 between the June 2024 and October 2024 time range, since it was only about 5 months from the reveal to the launch of Switch 1 from October 2016 to March of 2017. Now, in terms of the Switch 1, the current console, they really don't have much left to push hardware sales at this point, and will be dropping lower and lower in 2024. And while we still probably have games like Metroid Prime 2 and Metroid Prime 3 Remastered coming, and some other games like Princess Peach and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door Remastered coming, those are not going to push any more hardware sales for the Switch 1 really, and everyone knows now that Switch 1 is coming to an end. So a Switch 2 reveal even in late October of 2024 won't make much of a difference either way. Now, in terms of how I'm covering Switch 2, I've already explained this in previous videos, but it's honestly just business as usual for us here, guys. And the reason for that is because my content is not based on just covering each and every rumor that comes out about Switch 2. And since I don't do YouTube as a living, I can be as picky and as careful as I want in choosing which kind of videos I do on Switch 2. And it's usually just based on real information and research and tech discussion for things I find interesting that I want to share. And in terms of doing videos on release time ranges for Switch 2, I think I only did like one video or so in the last year that had an actual release time range as part of the main topic of the video, since for me personally it's not that interesting to discuss release time ranges for consoles. Now, I know that other channels who cover Nintendo, who I'm friends with even, and who do rely on covering basically all the rumors out there, since let's be honest here guys, if you cover Nintendo content to make a living on YouTube and you need to do daily videos, then really at this point your options are very limited to covering a lot of Switch 2 rumors and Nintendo Direct rumors, and then on top of that more Switch 2 rumors. You know, it's like a cycle, since honestly there isn't much going on with Nintendo otherwise, right? So in that sense I get it. So I can't really fault guys too much out there who keep making these Switch 2 rumor videos over and over and over again, since it's part of their income to support their families and what have you. But to be totally clear with you guys about my content, that's not what this channel does. So that's why you will not see Switch 2 rumor videos from me much at all, and you won't see Nintendo Direct rumor videos from me at all either. And likely, as you've seen for years now, people use the same old sources for Switch 2 and Nintendo Direct rumors that end up being wrong time and time again, which in turn makes that type of content a waste of time for me to talk about on my channel, on my videos. And wasting my time in regards to making content on YouTube is one thing I really can't stand, since my spare time is very limited and very valuable to me. So for my content, I stick to the reports and I cover info that I find interesting, which is almost always based on some real information I researched and discovered to share with you guys for discussion and speculation. So yeah, basically I'm all for Nintendo releasing Switch 2 in Q1 2025 if it's to make an awesome launch of the system with great games. And why would anyone be upset with that? Interesting. But also, like we discussed before, that still would mean we are getting Switch 2 revealed this year in 2024. So I don't really see any reason why we shouldn't be extremely excited, not just for Metroid Prime 4, mind you, but also for the coming Nintendo Switch 2 reveal, likely later this year.